Hugh Jackman nearly passed out filming certain scenes. He accidentally injured himself over a dozen times on set, and one bizarre dietary decision almost shut down production entirely. Think you know everything about Wolverine? Think again. These 40 facts will change how you watch the X-Men movies forever. Let's get into it. Let's kick things off with number 40. Hugh Jackman wasn't supposed to be Wolverine. Not even close. The role was originally given to actor Dougray Scott, who you might remember from Mission Impossible 2, but when that movie's production ran over schedule, Scott had to drop out. Jackman got the call just 3 weeks before filming started. Imagine landing the role that would define your entire career with less than a month to prepare. Talk about pressure. Number 39 gets even weirder. Before anyone else, the studio offered Wolverine to Russell Crowe. Yeah, that Russell Crowe. Fresh off Gladiator, he was the hottest action star in Hollywood, but Crowe turned it down and instead recommended his friend Hugh Jackman for the part. Crowe later said he had zero regrets because Jackman completely owned the character. Imagine an alternate universe where Wolverine has an Australian accent. Wait. Here's number 38, and it's honestly hilarious. When Hugh Jackman got the audition, he had absolutely no idea who Wolverine was. He'd never heard of the X-Men. He was doing theater in Australia at the time, and had to rush to the library to research comic books. The guy who would play Wolverine for 24 years started by reading about him in a public library. Can you imagine? Number 37 is the height problem everyone ignores. In the comics, Wolverine is 5 foot 3 inches tall. He's short, stocky, and built like a tank. Hugh Jackman? 6 foot 2. That's nearly a foot taller than the character is supposed to be. The filmmakers just completely ignored this fact and hoped nobody would notice. Spoiler alert, we noticed. Before we go further, number 36 is a wild what if. Mel Gibson was actually considered for the role of Wolverine in the early stages, but the studio ultimately decided he was too old for the part. This was in the late 90s. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman played the character until he was 48. So, make that make sense. Alright, number 35 gets us into the insane preparation Hugh Jackman went through. That iconic hairstyle, those gravity-defying points, they took 90 minutes to create, every single day. The hair department used special gels and blow-drying techniques to make those points stand up. That's an hour and a half in the makeup chair before shooting even started. And you thought your morning routine was rough. Number 34 will blow your mind. Between the first X-Men movie and X2, Jackman gained 30 pounds of pure muscle. How? By eating 6,000 calories every single day. That's 6 full meals of chicken, brown rice, and vegetables. For context, the average person eats about 2,000 calories a day. Jackman was eating 3 times that amount. His grocery bill must have been insane. Here's number 33, and it sounds like torture. For those shirtless scenes where Wolverine looks absolutely ripped, Jackman would dehydrate himself for 36 hours before filming. That means almost no water for a day and a half. This makes your muscles look more defined and your veins pop out, but it also leaves you dizzy, weak, and completely miserable. The things actors do for those Instagram-worthy shots. Number 32 is actually pretty cool. To nail Wolverine's animalistic movements, Hugh Jackman spent time at the zoo studying wolves and bears. He watched how they moved, how they tilted their heads, how they snarled. Then he incorporated all of that into his performance. Next time you watch Wolverine fight, you're literally watching wolf and bear behavior in human form. Number 31 is a diet disaster. During the first X-Men film, Jackman tried an all-berry diet that one of his trainers recommended. Supposedly it would help him lean out quickly. Instead, he got so violently sick that he had to abandon it immediately and almost couldn't film for several days. Production nearly got delayed because of berries. Never trust extreme diets, folks. And number 30 connects Wolverine to another iconic action hero. For X2, Hugh Jackman trained with the exact same physical trainer who prepared Angelina Jolie for Lara Croft. Tomb Raider. The trainer pushed Jackman through intense workouts focused on explosive power and agility. So basically, Wolverine and Lara Croft have the same gym coach. There's your useless trivia for the day. Now we're getting into the hidden details. Number 29 is that yellow spandex joke everyone remembers. In the first X-Men film, Cyclops asks Wolverine what he'd prefer, yellow spandex. That line was actually director Bryan Singer making fun of the comic-accurate costumes. Singer absolutely refused to put the X-Men in bright-colored suits, so he literally had a character mock them in the movie. That's some next-level shade. Number 28 is a deleted scene most people don't know exists. X-Men Origins. Wolverine, actually, had multiple endings. In one version, shown in some international releases, Wolverine is sitting alone in a Japanese bar, drinking. This was foreshadowing the Wolverine film that would come out years later. But American audiences never saw it. Depending on where you lived, you got a completely different ending. Here's number 27, and it's the closest the movie's ever got to the comic look. In Origins, Wolverine wears a brown leather jacket with tan and yellow accents. If you look closely, the color scheme matches his brown and yellow costume from the comics exactly. This was the filmmaker's subtle way of nodding to the classic look without putting him in actual spandex. Pretty clever, actually. Number 26 is an Easter egg you definitely missed. In X2, when Wolverine is in the bar watching TV, one of the news panelists debating mutants is named Dr. Hank McCoy. That's Beast's real name. This was years before Kelsey Grammer played Beast in X-Men: The Last Stand. The movies were planting seeds way earlier than anyone realized. Number 25 is for the hardcore fans. In X2, when Mystique is hacking Stryker's computer, you can briefly see file folders for other mutants. One of them is labeled Omega Red, a fan-favorite villain who never actually appeared in any of the films. He's just sitting there in the files, teasing us. It's been over 20 years, and we still haven't gotten Omega Red. Come on, Marvel. Here's number 24, and it shows incredible attention to detail. The military dog tags that Logan wears throughout all the films use an actual World War II era serial number format. The production team researched authentic period dog tags to make sure they got it right. Most people would never notice, but historians and military collectors definitely did. That's commitment to accuracy. Number 23 connects the timeline. During the 3 Mile Island escape in Origins, one of the young mutant prisoners is Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. You can see him shooting his optic blast for the very first time as he's being freed. This is years before we see adult Cyclops in the other films. The continuity is actually more connected than people give it credit for. Number 22 is a deep cut. In Logan, when Wolverine shows his driver's license, the name reads James Howlett. That's his real birth name. In the comics, this wasn't revealed until 27 years after Wolverine was first created. The movies casually dropped this huge piece of lore on a driver's license that's on screen for like 2 seconds. Most people completely missed it, and number 21 is pure movie magic. The X-Men comics that Laura reads in Logan aren't real Marvel comics. They're completely original comics that were created specifically for the film. They show in-universe versions of the X-Men's adventures, basically propaganda pieces. Marvel actually drew and printed these comics just for the movie. That's an insane level of world building. Now, we're getting into number 20, and this is where things get technical. In the original X-Men films, Wolverine's claws were practical effects, real metal blades that actually extended from between Hugh Jackman's fingers. Each claw weighed several pounds. Imagine trying to do fight choreography while holding several pounds of metal in each hand. Jackman basically had an arm workout during every action scene. Number 19 is a $10 million disaster. When they made X-Men Origins Wolverine, they decided to replace those practical claws with CGI ones. The CGI cost over $10 million. And you know what? Fans hated them. Everyone said they looked worse than the cheap practical effects from the first movies. Origins became infamous for having some of the worst visual effects in a major superhero film. $10 million for bad CGI. Yikes. Here's number 18, and it's honestly adorable. Throughout filming of all the X-Men movies, Hugh Jackman bought lottery tickets for the entire cast and crew every single Friday. This became a tradition across multiple films, spanning nearly 2 decades. And despite years of playing the lottery with dozens of tickets every week, nobody ever won anything significant. Not once. The universe really said, "Nice try, Wolverine." Number 17 literally hurt to make. Wolverine's iconic berserker rage scream was recorded separately in a sound booth. Hugh Jackman screamed so intensely and so many times during recording sessions that he actually damaged his vocal cords. He had to rest his voice for days and couldn't speak properly. Every time you hear that scream, remember that it cost Jackman his voice for almost a week. That's dedication. Number 16 reveals the stunt secret. The production actually used 3 different stunt doubles for Wolverine, not just one. Each stunt performer specialized in a different fighting style. One handled acrobatic flips and parkour, another did brutal hand-to-hand combat, and the third focused on weapon work. So depending on what kind of fight scene you're watching, you might be seeing a completely different person in the Wolverine costume. Here's number 15, and it's low-key terrifying. For the underwater Weapon X scenes, Hugh Jackman had to hold his breath for over 2 minutes at a time. Multiple takes meant doing this again and again. He trained with a professional diving coach for weeks to build up his lung capacity. 2 minutes might not sound that long, but try holding your breath right now and see how far you get. It's brutal. Number 14 is heavier than you think. The adamantium bullet that erases Wolverine's memory and origins wasn't just a prop. It was made from actual metal and weighed 2 full pounds. It had to be fired from a specially designed prop gun because a regular gun couldn't handle the weight. Imagine a 2-pound bullet. That thing could probably go through a building. Number 13 will hit you in the feels. When they filmed Wolverine's death scene in Logan, director James Mangold ordered complete silence on set. No background music playing, no crew members talking, nothing. Just silence. And according to reports, even the hardened film crew was crying during takes. That's how powerful that scene was. If you're not tearing up during Logan's death, you might not have a heart. Here's number 12, and it's peak comedy. Hugh Jackman's brief cameo in X-Men First Class, where Wolverine tells Professor X and Magneto to go, well, you know, that line was completely improvised. It wasn't in the script. Jackman came up with it on the spot, and it became one of the most memorable moments in the entire franchise. It was also Jackman's idea to even appear in First Class at all. Legend behavior. And number 11 is actually beautiful. Before intense emotional scenes, Hugh Jackman would listen to opera music to get into Wolverine's tortured mental state. He particularly loved dramatic Italian operas. So when you see Wolverine looking devastated or furious, that's partly because Jackman just spent 20 minutes listening to someone dramatically singing in Italian. Method acting at its finest. Now we're in the top 10, and number 10 is a glaring inconsistency. Wolverine's healing factor changes speed constantly depending on what the plot needs. Sometimes he heals from bullet wounds in literally seconds. Other times it takes hours or even days. There's no consistency at all. The movies never establish any rules for how fast it actually works. It's basically, he heals as fast or slow as the scene requires. Number 9 is an anatomy nightmare. When Wolverine retracts his claws, they slide back into his forearms. But here's the problem. 3 12-inch metal blades have absolutely nowhere to go in a human forearm. There's just not enough space. Bones, muscles, tendons, they're all in the way. The movies never explain where these massive blades go. They just disappear into arm space that doesn't exist. It's physically impossible. Here's number 8, and it breaks physics. Adamantium bonded to Wolverine's entire skeleton adds over 100 pounds to his body weight. That means he weighs way more than a normal person his size. In reality, he should sink like a rock in water. Swimming should be impossible, but in multiple films he swims just fine. He even survives underwater for extended periods. The laws of buoyancy apparently don't apply to Wolverine. Number 7 is hilarious once you notice it. In several films, Wolverine's shirt gets completely destroyed during battles, torn to shreds, burned off, you name it. But then, in the next scene, his shirt is perfectly intact again. His healing factor regenerates tissue and bone, sure, but it definitely doesn't regenerate clothing, yet somehow his clothes heal with him. We've got magic regenerating shirts now apparently. Number 6 is a timeline catastrophe. Thanks to Days of Future Past and its time travel, the X-Men timeline is completely broken. Characters meet in different decades but don't age consistently. Events are referenced that shouldn't exist in the new timeline. Things happen that contradict other things. The timeline is such a mess that even the filmmakers gave up trying to make it consistent. At this point, just don't think about it too hard. Here's number 5, and it's a superpower inconsistency. Wolverine can supposedly smell emotions, detect lies, and track people across miles using his enhanced senses. His nose is basically a supercomputer, yet he constantly fails to detect Mystique when she's disguised as someone else, even when she's standing right next to him. His super smell apparently has selective blindness when the plot needs it to. Number 4 is a plot hole the size of Texas. Logan has fought in the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. He displayed superhuman abilities in all of them, survived impossible injuries, and never aged. Yet somehow, the government didn't track him down until the Weapon X program in the 1970s. He should have been on every watch list, in every database, with hundreds of witnesses reporting an immortal soldier. The military just forgot about him for a century. Number 3 is the weird explanation nobody asked for. In Logan, his healing factor is failing because of GMO corn syrup in the food supply that suppresses mutant genes. Yes, really. Corn syrup is what finally takes down Wolverine. This is mentioned exactly once in passing and never explained properly. It makes zero scientific sense. But okay, sure. The adamantium skeleton survived nuclear blasts, but high fructose corn syrup is his kryptonite. We're at number 2, and it's about the Deadpool nobody wants to remember. The Weapon X Hunter version of Deadpool in Origins had his mouth sewn shut, laser eyes, and retractable swords in his arms. It was so universally despised that the 2024 Deadpool and Wolverine movie includes multiple jokes mocking how terrible it was. Even the filmmakers admitted it was a mistake. That's how bad it was. They had to apologize for it in another movie decades later. And finally, number 1, the ultimate Wolverine pattern. In literally every X-Men film, Wolverine quits the team, says he's leaving for good, or tries to go off alone. Every single movie. And in every movie, he comes back. He's quit the X-Men more times than most people quit bad habits. He's the world's worst quitter. At this point, when Wolverine says, "I'm leaving," everyone should just respond, "See you in 20 minutes." It's the most predictable character arc in cinema history. So, there you have it. 40 absolutely insane facts about Wolverine that you probably didn't know. From nearly dying on set to physics-defying continuity errors to the mysterious case of the regenerating shirt, these movies are way weirder than you remember. Which fact shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into your favorite characters, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.